Well, it seems I can no longer put off making this video. What started as a really goofy campaign by one of the most determined commenters and subscribers in the history of this channel has turned into a movement, with tons of people rallying around this idea to the point where this is probably the most requested idea in the history of PopCross Studios. So it's finally time. Here it is, My Hero Academia characters as fish. You all know the drill. Hitting the like button is always appreciated for algorithm reasons, and if you're new here and you want to subscribe, this is a really weird video for you to be jumping in on, but, you know, maybe you'll still want to subscribe from this anyway. Merry Christmas, Games Test Labs, and everyone else who wanted this to happen. Let's get into it. Let's go. First up, because I get lots of requests on this channel to do more stuff with My Hero Academia villains, I figured I should start with a villain that I've never drawn on the channel before. In this case, All for One, or Eel for One. And yes, the names only get stupider from here, so strap in. And I decided to make this character an eel, partially because there's a dumb pun to be had in the name, but also because eels just feel like cool, evil kind of creatures. Maybe that's just because when I was a kid, I watched The Little Mermaid like a lot of people, and the eels are kind of creepy and villainous in that. But also when I was a kid, I was in Australia and I was in this river and an eel came up to me and started swimming around my waist in a circle. I was like 10 years old and I was really freaked out, and then it just swam away. Didn't really do anything. But anyway, I decided to make this one an eel, and one thing I wanted to focus on was making more of a detailed kind of snarl on the nose. It's not really in a way that eels actually look. Like, I kind of rendered the face a little bit more similarly to how I would do a dragon, but I mean, I'm taking creative liberties. I want to make these, you know, my style kinds of creatures? Are they creatures? I don't know. I considered making this episode actually just My Hero Academia characters as fish creatures to make them a little bit more monstrous, but I figured if I did that, I might still get lots of requests for an actual My Hero Academia characters as fish episode, so I was like, okay, let's just actually do this. And I considered framing this video as if I was frustrated that I have to make it because of all the requests, but honestly I do think it's really hilarious how many people rallied around this goofy idea that Games Test Lab started. And I do have fun with these drawings. This one was probably one of the ones I had the most fun with because I could make it a little bit more monstrous and evil, and I added some elements to it that wouldn't be on an actual fish, the whatever the machinery is underneath his jaw-chin area. And also, before starting this one, I had to look up to see if eels actually were fish. And yes, eels are a type of fish. There was some kind of specific moniker for them, but point is, they are fish, and here is our eel for one. I hope you enjoy it. Next up, we've got Almight as a shark, or Sharkmite. That's right, the names really are not getting better. And once more, I had to look up for this one if a shark was a fish, because I was like, I'm pretty sure dolphins aren't fish, so I should check and make sure if sharks are. Sharks are indeed fish. There's a specific subclass called Elasmobronchi or something. I might be saying that wrong, remembering it wrong, but the point is they are a type of fish, and that worked perfectly for this, because I needed Almight to be something that was big and imposing and menacing, and it was extra helpful that sharks have a nice big toothy grin, because I really wanted to give it that big Almight smile that's really kind of creepy looking. And that works even better with a shark because it's got lots of jagged teeth in there. And I rendered out tons of different teeth in different layers sticking in different directions. Makes this one a bit more villainous looking, but really, I've talked about it before, Almight's face is kind of villainous looking. And rendering out all these teeth is probably my favorite part of this drawing. I mean, not doing the actual drawing part of it, that was, you know, a little bit tedious drawing all those teeth, but once it's finished and I've got the color and shading in there, separating the layers of them a little bit, I think it ends up looking really cool. Now this is one of the drawing that I don't add as much texture to in terms of color texture, and a bunch of the other ones I add more like light streaks and patterns going along their backs. This one I add more texture in that I give it some scars and dents and a few more bevels to make it look like it's been in more fights. I mean, Almight, when you look at him in his full muscular state, he doesn't really look like he has any cuts or wounds, but of course when he's in his regular tiny person mode, he's got a giant scar. I probably could have worked that in somewhere, but I guess that would be on his belly, which we're not seeing on this creature. Anyway, because these drawings are all simpler in terms of the inking, I added a lot more texture in the lighting as well, and, you know, just added lots of glossy little bits to make them look more detailed than these creatures really are, because they're all pretty simple-ish drawings that I'm just rendering out more. Anyway, I'm quite pleased with this one as well, and I hope you all like the result. That's right, it's annoying mid-video interruption time for me to talk about something that I'm thinking of doing every month with the art that I make on this channel. See, I got lots of people asking me where they can find high-resolution versions of my drawings on here, and some of my favorite stuff I'll post on Instagram, but some of it you can only ever see on this channel. So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try it this month, and if people are into it, I'll do it more months after this, is take high-resolution versions of all of the drawings I've done in the last month, make a bundle of them, and put them on my Teespring store for $5. So it'll be kind of like the equivalent of me having a PopCross Studios Patreon, except you don't have to sign up for any long-term subscription thing. You can just go like, oh, I really like the art from the last month, so I'm happy chipping in $5 and getting a whole bunch of high-res versions of those drawings. The one for this month won't go up until 2 days after this video comes out because I want to include drawings from the video that's going out in 2 days, but I don't want to spoil it for people. It's Ben 10 related, but you'll see it in like 2 days. So if you're watching this video 2 days after it came out, or after that, you can go to my Teespring store and find that bundle. Super curious if people will be into this idea. If not, I won't do more of them, no big deal. But if people do like the idea, I'm happy to do it once a month. Anyway, sorry for the interruption, let's get back into the next drawing with Bakugo. Next, we have Bakugo as a Barracuda, or our Bakukuda. Barracudas were another creature that I knew I wanted to work into this because they're just kind of cool, menacing, toothy fish, and I felt like that worked well for Bakugo. I also end up adding his sort of big gauntlet things underneath his, I don't know, fishy armpits, whatever you want to call that, next to his fins, as if he can shoot rockets that propel him through the water. Thought that was kind of a cool idea. And one thing that I really enjoy about doing this drawing that you'll see more when I get into the coloring stage is something that I was actually kind of talking about in my last video where I was turning anime creatures into Monster Hunter armors, where I was doing more of the coloring on this drawing, not totally blocked out in the inking stage, because these creatures needed to have more texture and I wanted to have more freedom to decide how I was doing the texturing with the colors in the actual coloring stage as opposed to deciding all of it in the inking stage. I kind of did simple inking and then in the coloring stage started throwing in little streaks of black and orange, and even near the very end of the drawing you'll see that I add some diamond-shaped textures of black and orange on top of the Barracuda's back. And so doing these simple fishy drawings actually gave me a good excuse to practice more of that coloring in a more improvised way, I guess, or I guess just messing around with different coloring ideas in the coloring process. Because a lot of the times in my inking stage, I am deciding, okay, this is where this color is going to be separated. Let's separate that with some inked lines so that I can drop the colors in really easily in the coloring stage. But I guess I also haven't really taken into account in the past that that just makes the inking stage take a bit longer if I'm doing more in the inking. So this was a good experiment, and I'm gonna continue experimenting with making more coloring decisions in the coloring stage in the future. That was a bit rambly, I hope it all kind of made sense. Anyway, here's the Bakukuda. Next up is a character who I kind of always feel obligated to do in My Hero Academia episodes, unless it's a sequel and I've done him in a previous episode, but I don't know, would people mind if I left Deku out of an episode? I mean, I like drawing him, but there's obviously so many cool characters in My Hero Academia that if I do him in every episode, I don't get as much variety in. I don't know, I mean, there are my go-to characters. I do Bakugo pretty much all the time. But anyway, for this drawing, I wanted to go with just kind of a classic-ish, cartoony fish sort of look. I was thinking a little bit like a goldfish, maybe, and of course I gave the character the big eyes that Bakugo kind of has in the comics and anime. And this was actually the second drawing that I did for this video, just, you know, rearranged it in the video that you're watching. And one thing you might notice because of that is I actually do block out more sections for the coloring with inks, specifically that rectangle-y sort of pattern on its side there. And I noticed during this drawing that I needed more color texture to it. It was just looking a little bit boring and bland, so I end up at the end blocking out some stuff and just wiping in some yellowish white kind of on his bottom, underneath his stomach. My favorite part of this one is probably the proportions. I like that he's got a big head and big eyes, makes him look kind of cute like Deku is. I mean, he's obviously a really tough character who can kick lots of people's butts, but he is also very friendly, got big eyes, is very cute looking. And then I also gave him really big fins. Most so on his front, but also his tail fin is quite big. And that's because, I mean, My Hero Academia characters, especially the young characters, the heroes in school, have really big hands and feet, which anyone who watches this channel knows that I'm a big fan of doing that as well, and having high contrast between, like, wrists and hand size. But so because of that, I also wanted to give this fish some really big fins. And of course, if it's got bigger fins, it looks like it would be able to swim faster. Finally, I did put some lightning-y kind of streaks around this fish, which for a character that's underwater doesn't really make sense. But I mean, you know, this is a pretty goofy video. I don't think it has to have that much logic to it. Anyway, coming up on the end of this fish, and I hope you all like Izuku Midoriya. Well, I actually did it. My Hero Academia characters as fish. Congratulations, Games Tests Lab, on a very successful campaign. This video finally happened after, what, 7 months of you commenting this? Anyway, I don't really know what category of videos I'm gonna put this under, like what playlists I'll put it in. I guess maybe like the creature playlists? I mean, they're kind of creatures, right? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Also, reminder, fair warning, the next video isn't going to come out on Monday as would usually be scheduled. It's going to come out on Sunday, the 27th, because that is the 15th anniversary of Ben 10. I'm going to post a Ben 10 related video, then jump on a live stream over on the Ink Tanks channel. The video will be a premiere as well, so I'll be commenting along as it first goes out. But anyway, everybody, hope you all enjoyed this. If you are new here, you can check out some of my other creature videos, I guess, and some of my dragon videos. I do seafaring dragons, like in my Justice League Dragons episode. I did an Aquaman dragon, so maybe that's a good video to jump to next. But I don't know, go poking around if you're new here. Lots of fun stuff on this channel. But that's all for today. I'm Christian Pearson. This has been PopCross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube. If you're watching this the day it comes out, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you all in the next video in 2 days. Goodbye.